The Seattle Kraken have gone streaking. That's right. We have matched our longest winning streak. We continue to extend that points streak. Joey Decord is doing amazing. Let's talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you your favorite team every single day. My name is Ayala. I am your host of Locked On Kraken. I am here at Chelsea Piers in Stamford, Connecticut. Just took in the PWHL New York practice. You should go head over to Locked On NHL to hear a little bit about how the PHL is doing, the U18 women's tournament, and more. But let's get into today's episode because the Seattle Kraken get another win on the road Warriors. Just like last year, we get a big win over the Washington Capitals. And listen, you don't want to be sleeping on the Seattle Kraken right about now. And speaking of sleeping, today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. But the details are looking really good for the Seattle Kraken. Not perfect. I don't think we've played a perfect game yet, but we're playing fun. We're playing fast, and we are forechecking. We're getting silky smooth goals from Adam Larson. Wenberg is coming into his own right. Joey Decord made a redonkulous save. I usually say tippiest of toes saves. I don't even know what that was. But, again, it's not perfect, and there are things that need to be cleaned up. But the Seattle Kraken are looking really good right now. I felt that they could do really well in the first part of this road trip, and that's exactly what they have done. And so we know we've got Columbus coming up and then New York. I'm hoping to be at that game at Madison Square Garden for you, but it's looking good for this team right now. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what Dave Haxtell had to say at the end of the game against the Capitals.
When a game's going that way early on and Joey makes a save like he did on that Scorpion save, like what can that do to the opponent's psyche?
It's more. I believe it's more what it does for our bench. It erases a mistake. It erases a great opportunity. Again, it's about the timing of the save, and that timing was about as good as it gets, and allowed us to get that period going and have a successful period and come out feeling good.
You make a change to what we're calling the fourth line, and it turns up a goal right away. How pleased were you with their efforts?
Yeah, really good pace on that coming up ice, right? Coming out of the D zone exit, and Jared attacks through the middle of the rink, kicks it out, and just never a bad thing to shoot the puck. And it was a real good play by Carson. He's got a heavy shot from there. I think there was a bit of a flash screen on it, so that that was a big goal for us. So it was nice to see that line, get on the score sheet. I think we had, I believe 3 of our 4 lines again tonight are on the score sheet.
Also, Alexander Wenberg gets his second game winner in a row, but Brandon Tanev is making a lot of little key plays to set up some of these chances. What would you say about that line?
Well, Brandon brings pace. He forces his line and helps his line play with pace. He brings a forecheck, and along with that, there seems like there's a little bit of chemistry there, and the line has worked. I mean, it's been a short couple of days, couple games, but they've been effective. And the pair of Wenny and Turbo has been pretty good for us on a consistent basis, and that's kind of been a quiet thing that's really helped us as we've gone along. They check well, and when they're providing offense, that's a big plus for us.
So you won 8 in a row, 12-game point streak, coming off an 8-game losing streak. That's never been done before. What would you say has been the the common denominator in the
A bunch of
turnaround?
little things, but you saw it tonight. Again, our game got better as the game went along. The pace of our game, which helped us really become better defensively. In the first period, a lot of the opportunities that they had came off of our tape. And that's what they do. They capitalize on mistakes to put you under a little bit of pressure. Our game got better. We got cleaner with the puck. The pace of our game and the way we checked, improved throughout the game. We got a great save at the right time, and we had, a number of guys contributing on the offensive side of the sheet. So that's been the formula. I still maintain the defensive side of our game is what's most important. Everything starts off of that. Even look at some of the offense that we generated tonight. A lot of that comes out of our D zone and how we get up ice, and then it comes down to individual plays and ability on the guys' part.
Good.
And I also liked what Dave said to the guys in the locker room when we got the big cat. Adam Larson has the Davy Jones hat, but he talked about checking. And about the 3 F's: fun, fast, and forechecking. He's also been really harping and giving praise to the team for their defensive efforts. And that has been the difference. We also know right around this time last year, also on the road, on the East Coast, as a matter of fact, the Seattle Kraken really came into their own. I think the fun is back in the locker room. The belief is back in the locker room. And we're also starting to get some guys back who have been injured. So overall, it's looking really good for our guys, but we have to stay the course. We've got Columbus coming up, and the New York Rangers, I think, is going to be a really great test. We're going to actually have a Squadcast episode for you next week, so I'm not going to say too much about that, but I hope you're feeling good right now, Kraken fans. And also, don't forget to vote. I told you Adam Larson could be a sleeper pick. He already said, hey, give him the puck on breakaways and see what happens. I, for one, am here for it. But let's talk a little bit more about what the road trip is going to look like, and then we'll close out the show with just some fun stats and facts that you should know about your team that's streaking. As I mentioned at the top of the show, today's episode brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. It's almost the halfway point of the season, Kraken fans. And, like I just said, we are on an 8-game winning streak. We have matched our longest streak. Regardless of where we are in the current standings, they're looking good for us. I want to remind you that you could win big playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Adam Larson, Joey Decourt, or even Ellie Tolvanen will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and so much more. To win 100x on your bet at Sleeper, all you have to do is correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me right, Kraken fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks to start winning big. Don't forget that promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use and details for locational availability. Part of the reason the Kraken have been having success, whether you want to believe it or not, it's goaltending. And no, it's not Martin Jones this year. It's our guy, Joey Decourt. He really cut his teeth and showed that he could be a leader between the pipes last year in Coachella Valley for their magical run in their first ever season all the way to the Calder Cup finals. Here's Joey Decourt after the win against Washington.
All right, Joey. First of all, great shirt that you're wearing here. On that Scorpion save, what's going through your mind? How do you remember that playing out?
I think it was a quick turnover, and they kind of got a breakaway. Felt it hit my pad, and then it's kind of tough, like when you're kind of laying face down in the ice to see what's going on. And I assumed that he kind of had the rebound, and I could just kind of see his body. I couldn't really see the puck, so I just kind of stuck my leg up and hoped I hit it. And then I felt it hit my pad, and I was like, that was probably pretty cool. So that was it's nice when those are going your way.
Have you seen the video yet?
I just saw it. Yeah. The best is the best is Dreeks. That's even better than the save. When we were looking at each other, like he was kind of to my left at the TV timeout right after, and I was just looking at him like this, and then he was looking back at me like this. We didn't even say anything.
Joey, the entire team does seem to be in a groove, but for you, particularly with your position, how do you feel? How do you maintain being at this level in your game?
It's a good question. I think just trying to bring the same mindset every night, and just try not to get results focused. I think, every night you go back to the drawing board, you look at the game plan, whether it's the team or myself, how you want to handle every situation, and just stick to the process, do the right things, and good things will happen. And it's been a lot of fun here these last, it's probably a month now maybe. So it's been a lot of fun, and just trying to enjoy it and ride the wave.
What do you say? What's it like being in this locker room when you're in a streak and a groove like this?
I think any locker room will tell you when you're winning, everything's more fun, and when you're on a win streak like this and a point streak like we are, it's a lot of fun, and we have a great group already. So when things are going our way, it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's great to be a part of.
Joey, with this level of success you guys are getting, what are you seeing about the play in front of you? Is there something that's changed or improved or that stands out to your eye?
Not necessarily. I think our blueprint's always been there. We're just executing it better, and I think we're just working our ass off. It's really fun to watch. Even I think the last shift of the game when it was 4-1 and there was a minute or two left just epitomizes our group. And I think it was Gordo's line with Gordo, Tolvi, and Bjorky, and they just hemmed him in the whole shift. And there's a minute left. It's 4-1. Like they could have just dumped it in and got off, and they just kept working and working and working. And that's indicative of the the culture and the work ethic of our group. So that was a lot of fun to see that.
So all in all, what we're seeing is it's a team effort. It's a collective effort. We also know some guys like Jared McCann are playing a different position. You might remember that Jared McCann did start as a centerman for the Seattle Kraken and then was moved out to the wing. But even one of our leading goal scorers, especially last season, is doing what it takes to get the team to win. Everyone has bought in. I think some people think that's, I don't know, you call it lunch pail, you call it blue collar. But at the end of the day, whatever it's going to take to win is what you want your team to do. And these guys are all in, and I can't wait to see where we land in the standings when we get a little bit closer to springtime, because that was a fired up team last year. McCann, certainly one of them. Vince Dunn, one of them. And if they can continue performing as a team like they're doing right now, I don't see why we can't find our way to the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. So let's see what our boys can do in this home stretch. Again, we've got Columbus, New York. Those are the next two games coming up, and we will talk about those a little bit next week. But let's first go over some stats and facts that you need to know about how the Kraken have been playing of late. Today's episode of our show brought to you by our friends at Jace Medical. Now, Jace Medical is great because they are making sure that when the craziness of life is happening, that you still have what you need. According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. Now, that's kind of scary. If you can't get the medicine that you need, you run the risk of putting yourself in a situation where you could get sick or even sicker for some of us. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. So visit jacemedical.com and complete your physical encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispersed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. So go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order. Again, that's Jace Medical, JASE medical.com, and use promo code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. All right, Kraken fans, relocated here at Chelsea Piers again. Just went to PWHL New York practice. You know me, always double dipping, dabbing and diving and all that good stuff. But let's talk about some numbers that I think are important to know. And some of this comes from the amazing Allison Lucan and her reporting. She is on this road trip with the Seattle Kraken, so make sure you're checking out her work. But mention the 12-point streak. 12 games where we've recorded at least a point. 8-game win streak that ties the franchise record set last year. The impetus for that, of course, I believe, was Martin Jones. So we have tied that with a chance to now surpass that and extend the winning streak. I mentioned earlier that we have Columbus and then New York, but I forgot we have a back-to-back. So we actually also have Pittsburgh in that mix. Now, Pittsburgh is having an interesting season. We know Columbus is kind of always an interesting franchise, and then New York is going to be a really interesting game. Not only do you have a back-to-back, so you got to see what we do with Riker Evans, you got to see what we do with maybe Chris Drieger, but also I do think that New York could be a really nice test for the Seattle Kraken in the second part of this 2-week road trip. But again, I like how we're playing. And here's what Dave Haxtell had to say. I know you heard a little bit from him and Joey Decord earlier in this episode, but I think there's just a lot of good things happening, and I liked what Dave said after the game. Our game got better. We were cleaner with the puck. The pace of our game and the way we checked, I alluded to that earlier, improved throughout the game. We got a great save at the right time, and we had a number of guys contributing on the offensive side of the sheet. So that's been the formula. That's what Dave is saying is the formula to success for the Seattle Kraken. You know me, I'm going with the 3 Fs: fun, fast, and forechecking. Now, he does mention forechecking here. We've seen that the guys are having a lot of fun. That was a wild highlight reel save by Joey Decord. Chris Drieger enjoyed it. We know that. And I think another thing is that we're utilizing our speed. We saw Adam Larson score on a breakaway. We've seen Ty Cartier, and this is something else that Dave Haxtell has been saying. You're seeing Ty Cartier really be aggressive, playing that game. And I want to take you to my conversation with Ty in the Mariners locker room because, of course, we were at the Winter Classic. But I asked him a little bit about this time last year and really stepping into his own with the Firebirds, and now he's starting to do that with the Kraken. So let's take it over to my interview with Ty Cartier. And so I think this is a really great young star for the Seattle Kraken stepping up. We're also seeing guys that have been hurt coming back, playing big. We're seeing a selfless style of hockey. And I know some people think that, if you're a bad team, you kind of have to play selfless. The Seattle Kraken also don't have a quote-unquote bona fide superstar, although maybe the mayor, Joey Decord, is changing some minds about that. But putting that to the side, the Seattle Kraken have to play by committee. They have to play as a team right now. And you know what? It's working. It's working. And I am of the opinion, if you're a professional athlete and you want to actually win championships, it is not acceptable to skirt on your defensive responsibilities. And I know some people disagree with that. And there are some players, arguably, historically, and maybe even in the league right now, who the ask is to just do one thing. But I know you know how I feel if you're an OG or an everydayer. I don't necessarily like positionless hockey, and I don't, or positionless anything for that matter. But I also don't like the DH rule. Now, it's a moot point in baseball, but my point is the DH basically was saying you can be a crap fielder and still get to hit. I don't like that. I think you should play both sides of the ball. I think you should play both sides of the puck. And the commitment to doing that, I will keep saying it because I love that Dave has been mentioning it. The commitment to both sides of the puck, the commitment to playing a full and complete game, or as close to a complete game as possible, that's been the difference for the Seattle Kraken. And that's what it's going to take for them to not just be in 1-goal games, some of them they were winning, some of them that they're losing, but to start winning games outright. To do what Eberle keeps saying. Not just play not to lose, but to play to win. And I think that has been the difference for the Seattle Kraken. But before we move on, let's talk about some of our good friends at Locked On Kraken and the Locked On Podcast Network. So again, Kraken fans, 12 games where we've gotten at least a point. 8 games where we've gotten 8 consecutive wins in a row, matching last year's record. We're streaking, do well on the road, and now we want to continue to build on that. We're starting to get guys back healthy. Jaden Schwartz is the latest. Joey DeCord's playing good for us. So now it's just about maintaining what's working. And I think we can do that. I'm not worried when it comes to that. But we got to play the games and see how it works out. So we have a game against Columbus and then Tuesday in New York. But until then, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another. And when it's game day, we say loud and proud, hold fast, stay true, and let's go Kraken. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.